And now, it's Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on AM 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Grain.
Well, the Whitecaps invade Los Angeles to face Chivas USA, and they leave with a single point. And the English Premier League season has finally kicked off, and not a moment too soon. Good evening and welcome to Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk here on AM 650 Radio in Vancouver. My name's Tyler Green, on Twitter at TylerGreenFC. Also available online at www.am650radio.com. Thank you for listening to us, whether that's live on the podcast or whether it's on the video podcast or webcast as well. Here in the Barber & Co. studios, where we broadcast from every Saturday night at 10 p.m. to midnight. A very special show coming up next week. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the program. But tonight, the first half kickoff brought to you by KO, Kevin O'Toole, and findaproperty.ca. Kevin's track record of selling homes is so good that he's selling out of properties. He needs more. He needs yours to sell. If you're selling your home and looking for somebody who's reliable and can get it done, contact Kevin today. Full details at findaproperty.ca. Kevin O'Toole, licensed realtor with Prudential Sussex Realty, online at findaproperty.ca. Well, Vancouver, the Whitecaps, they had a huge week last week against Sporting Kansas City. They get a big victory, and while it was a huge victory, I wrote in my 24 Hours Vancouver column this past Wednesday that the Caps needed to follow up that terrific performance, almost a flawless performance, with another good performance. And, well, it was kind of disappointing against Chivas USA tonight, considering what they did against Sporting KC last weekend. They didn't look great moving forward. Defensively, they were quite solid, and they have been. But these draws and these non-dominant games against some of the weaker opponents is not good enough. Vancouver has secured just 2 points against Chivas USA out of a possible 9. If the Caps miss the playoffs, it's just one of those, just another game that you look at as a missed opportunity. And sadly, there's a few of these games throughout the season that you can point to and say the Whitecaps missed an opportunity. The Whitecaps missed an opportunity. They need to be done with that. Now, the Whitecaps are where I think pretty much everybody thought they might be, fighting for a playoff spot. But they've shown enough this season that they can have good, dominant performances against some of the best teams in Major League Soccer. Just take a look at some of the performances against Sporting KC, the Seattle Sounders, etc. But they're just not consistent enough. Those performances, they're not consistent enough, and we aren't getting enough. We demand more. We should demand more. The Whitecaps need to improve. All right, over in the UK, the Barclays Premier League finally kicked off today, and for Manchester United, maybe it was a little too early. They continued where they left off last year, and that is losing. They lost the league opener for the first time since 1972 at home. And while there were some bright spots, Louis van Gaal has his work cut out for him. Meanwhile, Spurs beat West Ham late, and Ramsey saved Arsenal. All the details and discussion coming up on the program today. And the Premier League conversation leads us to our Barber poll, presented by barberandco.ca. And it's a pretty easy one. Who will win the Premier League title this season? Tweet us your thoughts with the hashtag Barber poll on Twitter at SoccerTalk650 or TylerGreenFC. You can also email us at soccertalk650@gmail.com, or you can call us 604-280-0650. Also weigh in on the Barber poll on our Facebook page at facebook.com/soccertalkvan. Of course, you can weigh in on any topic you want here on the program, and I think a Whitecaps result from earlier tonight may be one that gets a lot of traction already. Twitter just blowing up with responses from people about it. So let us know what you're thinking at SoccerTalk650, at Tyler Green FC, at Simon Fudge 74. The Barber poll is brought to you by Barber & Co., Gastown, Yaletown, the Financial District. New location at Cambie and 18th. Got a tweet from a guy named Kevin who just went the other day, had to get a beard trim, haircut, look respectable again for his job. He did so at barberandco.ca. On Twitter at barberandco. Of course, that again is barberandco.ca. You're listening to Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk right here on AM 650 Radio in Vancouver. Get into Kia Vancouver right now. Only at Kia Vancouver. Free lifetime car washes, oil changes, and get this, free lifetime airport shuttle and parking service. Plus, if you mention my name, you're going to save an extra $500 on the purchase of a new car. Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, KiaVancouver.com. Simon Fudge and I, we're going to debate the starting 11. We're going to get right into it with this Whitecaps game, and that's next.
Follow us on Twitter at SoccerTalk650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on AM 650.
Held high above the heads of soccer supporters everywhere, the soccer scarf is a world-class icon of support, and Global Scarves can turn it into a high-profit, high-visibility, high-spirited fundraising idea for your club, organization, or school. Global Scarves has been producing high-quality, UK-knitted soccer scarves for over 40 years. They offer low prices for fundraising groups with no sacrifice on quality. A welcome change from chocolate. Find out more about Global Scarves. Contact Brad at globalscarves.com or visit globalscarves.com.
Not that your stylist at the salon isn't doing a good job, but man, you deserve the big red leather barber chair experience of Barber & Co. Here's how it works. Go to barberandco.ca. Book your appointment at one of the 4 barber shops in Gastown, Yaletown, the Financial District, or Cambie and 18th. You can just walk in, too, and get your hair cut, hot shave, buzz cut, fade, or beard trim experience. A great wedding party idea, too. barberandco.ca.
Vancouver Street Soccer League is the beautiful game at its finest. Teams of men and women who are homeless, have recently been homeless, or are at risk for homelessness get together to train and play matches. It's great fun that builds skill and confidence, and the league sent players to 4 consecutive Homeless World Cups in Milan, Rio de Janeiro, Paris, Mexico City, and Poland. Find out more at VancouverStreetSoccer.com.
Vancouver Street Soccer League. Get into it and get behind it.
Marco!
Polo!
Now that summer is finally here, On The Run stores at Esso stations want you to enjoy every moment.
Marco!
Polo!
No need to search for great drink deals this summer, because On The Run stores at Esso stations are featuring refreshing offers to keep you on the go, like Pepsi 591 milliliter, 2 for $3.50, taxes and deposit extra.
Marco!
Polo!
Summer is the season to get outside and get moving.
No! Fish out of water!
Ah! Fuel your summer fun at
On the Run!
No!
We're back. This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on AM 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
Whitecaps in LA tonight come away with a single point against Chivas USA as the clubs draw 0-0. Vancouver back in Los Angeles next week to take on the Galaxy. Should also mention a very big result from earlier today, playing for the Donnelly Cup tournament put on by the Donnelly Group. It was Arsenal beating Spurs in the final. The Arsenal supporters group beating the Spurs supporters group. A few others. Martin at Barber & Co. He's had the Rain City Brigade crew in there.
Very nice. Yes.
They didn't fare so well. A lot of the blame, the manager telling me a lot of the blame going to one Jorge Mendoza. That's the word on the street. But congrats to all the eight teams in total participating for the Donnelly Cup. Great event out there. Right now, Kia Vancouver has a selfie contest happening. You can win yourself Whitecaps tickets, autographed Whitecaps jerseys, full car detailing package. All the details at our Facebook page, facebook.com/SoccerTalkVan. All you have to do, take a photo, selfie with your Kia, send it in. All the details, facebook.com/SoccerTalkVan. It's starting 11 time. Tweet us your thoughts on the starting 11 on Twitter. Tyler Green FC and Simon Fudge at SimonFudge74. And we'll start with number 1. We're going to get into the Whitecaps here. But number 1 is the Canadian Women U20 squad, knocked out of the Women's U20 World Cup tonight, losing to Germany. Simon, should we be encouraged or discouraged with this result and, well, leading up to the Women's World Cup next year?
I think we should be slightly encouraged for next year, but more encouraged for the future beyond that. I think this U20 team has, with the players they have in it, built a lot of character through this tournament. I mean, they looked like they could have been basically done after group stage, losing to Ghana in their opening game, but the way they turned around from being 2-0 down to Finland to win 3-2, and then going on to beat North Korea, which I think was a fantastic result, was just showed what there can be made of. Got to remember, this group will be the senior women's national team in not too long distant future for me. So, yeah, slightly encouraged for next year, but I think where you want to be encouraged is far beyond that.
Yeah, I think it's encouraging that they did so well when it looked at one time that there was going to be some difficulty. They managed to get through that. They were able to put some goals in. I think we should be encouraged about what we see, that maybe there are some players that could step into the women's national team roster and replace some of those aging veterans. They still are looking for the next Christine Sinclair, I think, but there are some other options that have the ability to score some goals. It's always going to be tough to get somebody to replace somebody like Christine Sinclair, but they have people in that roster that have the ability to kind of step in some different roles, and so I think that's encouraging. The other thing I look at is the U15s, and it looks like there could be some bright futures ahead for the Canadian women's national team, and continuing to be a bright spot in the Canadian program. This women's program is looking like they are going to be replacing players, and there's some players coming up still that are going to be some quality players.
Number 2, what is the best position for Omar Salgado with Whitecaps FC?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because I think Omar Salgado, his best spot, you look at what he did today, the way he was able to hold off some defenders, get physical, get into some areas to be some challenging, and I'd love to see him up front. And I continue to sort of harp on the fact that Stephen Badisher got so many assists over his San Jose Earthquakes career because he had a target man in the middle, and the Whitecaps don't have that when Omar Salgado is playing. They don't have that target man up front for it, and I think Omar should get a shot in there. Now, there's talk tonight that, he didn't take kindly to the way that he was subbed off, and maybe some attitude problems. It's not the first time we've seen that with Omar, and I think he's quite frustrated with the way that his career has gone. Carl Robinson saying that he's going to maybe handle that internally. Maybe Omar Salgado, maybe the best position for Omar Salgado is somewhere else, and maybe he's a guy that isn't going to be here with the Whitecaps for very much longer.
We'll have to wait and see. Certainly, I think he needs to be placed centrally as a striker for me if he's going to make the most of his time with the Whitecaps. They don't have, as you say, any other target man up front. It does make you wonder if they do that, if they have to kind of change their formation to more like a 4-4-2 and have 2 designated target strikers up front. You take his size with his pace and his willingness to take opponents on, and that's probably, for me, the way you can get the most out of him. But yeah, it is a big question mark as to where he best fits within the team, and I guess very much so where his future lies.
Number 3 on the starting 11. What should the Whitecaps do if, one, Gershon Kofi can't play next weekend as he's struggling with an injury, and with Matthias Laba already missing due to suspension? against the LA Galaxy.
Well, I had a bit of a thought with this, and I think there's a chance here that we'll see some switching around of players in the lineup by Carl Robinson. I'm almost thinking of taking Johnny Leveron out of center back, put him into defensive midfield, maybe partner him up with someone like Mosqueda, and that might open the door for Kendall Waston to make his first start for the club and center back alongside Andy O'Brien. And if that's not the case, Carlisle Mitchell hadn't really necessarily put a foot wrong, so maybe he comes back in alongside O'Brien. Might be the way that they could go about at least trying to fill the gap of those defensive midfield positions.
Well, obviously Laba's out, so I'm putting Russell Tybert right in there in that spot. And then if Kofi can't go, I think we're probably going to end up seeing Nigel Reo-Coker into that slot. And I think that's what Carl Robinson is going to do. But I would much prefer to see him get a little creative and do something else. We haven't seen Nigel Reo-Coker much very often, and there's a reason we haven't seen Nigel Reo-Coker too often. And so I'd like to see him mix it up a little bit, and I like that idea of maybe having Johnny Leverone and a guy like Russell Tybert playing together in that holding midfield role, and then possibly putting somebody else on that back line with Andy O'Brien.
Number 4, what do you think will be the first time we'll see Kendall Waston play?
Well, you kind of touched on it. Maybe it's next week. Maybe with a little bit of that switching, we'll see him next week. But I actually think that it's going to be a couple weeks here before we see him. It's the way that they are going right now defensively. They're very strong defensively of late. So I think we're not going to see too much change, and that's probably why we're not going to see Johnny Leverone move up. I think we're going to see that same back 5 in reality stay the same in terms of the goalkeeper and the back 4. So I don't see Kendall Waston getting in anytime soon. It's going to be a few more weeks before we see him in a center back role.
Yeah, I agree. I think that back 5 won't be changing for some time. I mean, if you're getting clean sheets, there isn't any reason to fix what's not broken in many respects. I think there's a fair chance, and I'd mentioned this earlier this week to some people that I spoke to, that I think Kendall Waston will actually make his Whitecaps debut off the bench and as a striker when Vancouver may be in a position, say as early as next week, needing a goal in a game, and they need to get a big target guy in there, and maybe he comes in and replaces, let's say hypothetically, an ineffective Omar Salgado or to just get some size in there. But I actually have a feeling he'll make his debut having to come on and do something more in an attacking sense, because he does have that capability within him, and I think that might be where we'll get to see his first few minutes of action.
All right, number 5 on the starting 11 is San Jose Earthquakes head coach Mark Watson in trouble.
I fear that he is. Tonight they fell to a very, very bad home defeat, 5-0 to FC Dallas. And the fact that the San Jose are now well adrift to the playoff places in the West, 9 points between them and the Whitecaps, who are in 5th. I don't feel good about Mark Watson's future and that of his assistant, the fellow Vancouverite Nick Dasovic. I think it's unfortunate too, because I thought for some time he'd done a pretty good job, and they are very good guys. We know them well, but it's not looking good. And I think the fact that they are slowly or really looking like they're going to be well out of the playoff picture quite quickly here, that could see a move being made.
I would agree. They came in taking over for Frank Yelp, and there was nowhere to go but up from there, and they performed admirably as the men in charge, and it just hasn't gone the way that they've wanted. I think they're going to get the season here, but if things go awry and they don't improve, I think when you're moving into a new stadium, you've got to make that splash, do something good. I think that they're probably going to, eventually get let go, and they're going to have to bring somebody else in.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate, because we talk about looking at Canadian coaches that could potentially be on the rise, and you would like to think that those two would be in that consideration. But yeah, I do fear for what their future will be in San Jose. Number 6, Andrea Pirlo said he's open to coming to MLS once his Juventus contract expires in 2016. Would he be designated player worthy at age 37?
Yeah, I think so, because as much as maybe his skills have deteriorated a little bit with that age, he's still going to be able to do things that players in Major League Soccer, most players in Major League Soccer, aren't going to be able to do. And he also has that star factor that people are definitely going to want to go see a guy like Pirlo play. And just with those things, and the fact that you're going to be able to sell a billion jerseys with his name and number on it, he's definitely designated player worthy.
Part of me is leaning towards saying no, that he's not, but I think much will depend, I think, on his coming 2 seasons with Juventus. If he still shows that he's got all those great abilities about him, set piece specialist and everything over the next 2 years, proves to be absolutely instrumental in them winning 2 more Scudetti, then yes, I think then probably he is worthy of coming here, being a designated player in this league. But even then, once he hits 37, I wonder how much of a fading talent he may be. And I think about DeVayo, who put in 1 good season last year for Montreal, hasn't been the same this year. Would that actually be the same thing if Pirlo came here to MLS?
Number 7 on the starting 11. Who wins the leagues? They all kick off next weekend in Spain, Italy, and Germany.
Relatively predictable answers for me. I think Real Madrid will win La Liga in Spain, Juventus will win the Serie A in Italy, and Bayern Munich will win the Bundesliga in Germany.
We're very close. I'm going Real Madrid, Juventus, and I'm going to go with Borussia Dortmund in Germany as a little bit of a change-up to win it. I think they might have a little something there. They are obviously going to play near the top of the league, and I think they might be able to sneak it away from Bayern this year.
Number 8, with DeAndre Yedlin officially transferring to Tottenham Hotspur in the English Premier League, what does that reflect on Major League Soccer?
Well, I think it reflects, I look at it 2 ways. One, I look at it as it reflects well on Major League Soccer that they are able to have a player of that caliber produced through the homegrown system, debuts with the national team, and then gets a transfer to one of the top teams, one of the top 5 really, arguably top 5 team in the Premier League. And I like that because I think it looks good that, hey, they've got talented players there. What I think it's bad about it is the fact that he's leaving, and Major League Soccer just isn't able to hang on to those really good players. They've done it in some cases, but some of those players still leave, and I think that reflects a little bit poorly on Major League Soccer, that it's still a league that is just going to feed other leagues, and it's still that developmental league, which is fine, but I think people have to realize that and still realize that, hey, there's some good players, so you should go and check them out now before it's too late.
That's true, and for me it was like a good and bad way of looking at it. The good, as you say, MLS developing young talent in this league, and more so than anything, it gives great credit to the fact that the league itself obviously is a very credible environment for a player to develop in. And I think in the case of Yedlin, being able to go on, play in the World Cup, shine with the U.S. there, and that leading to this move to Spurs is a perfect example. Again, the bad side of it is that we're losing a player like Yedlin from this league. We don't get to see him on a regular basis. He's going to be playing somewhere abroad. And, for as much as there's wanting to develop these players and everything, there's that great desire from the league and the clubs. There's always been that strong thing as well from the league that they want to show themselves to be one of the best leagues in the world. But you can't do that unless you're able to keep your best players, and still a big challenge for MLS.
And, of course, he's going to be here for the rest of this season, and then weirdly he's scheduled to join Spurs for the 2015-2016 season, so there's some question marks as to, well, is he starting the season with Sounders next year, or is he going to go somewhere else? So it'll be interesting to see what Yedlin, where he ends up exactly early next year, I guess. Number 9, what was the biggest shock result for you today in the Barclays Premier League?
Manchester United falling at home to Swansea City. Just seemed to be the sense that when Louis van Gaal literally walked onto the pitch at Old Trafford, this was the new era. Everything was now going to be bright and good again. Just didn't happen. And fair play to Swansea. I thought they were very good today. Now, I don't know if a lot of teams are going to go there this season and get points, but Swansea probably had a feeling that today was probably as good an opportunity as any if they were going to get maximum points, and they were full value for it.
For me, it was I kind of there were three. There was, as much as Arsenal and Tottenham won the games, it was a little bit of, well, maybe that was a shock result, or maybe it was the Manchester United. And for me, it was the fact that Tottenham, they had to leave it late. Here's a team that, as much as there were some changes there and a little bit of who knows what's going to happen, I was a little bit surprised that they weren't able to handle West Ham United, who have just been dreadful so far. It took them so long to get the lead and eventually win the game. So for me, that was the biggest shock.
Number 10, which English Premier League manager will be the first to get sacked?
Well, let's go to the West Ham and Sam Allardyce. Big Sam is always the guy that is talked about, and I'm going to go with him. I would have said Tony Pulis, but he beat us to the draw. So I'm going Sam Allardyce. He's always the guy that gets sacked and finds a job very quickly thereafter. So I think he's going to be the guy that gets sent away.
I wonder if it'll be Paul Lambert at Aston Villa. Now, here's the dynamic. It was kind of brought up today as I was listening to various radio things in the UK and whatnot. There is a real sense that he's under a lot of pressure at Aston Villa. And the fact that he's got someone alongside him who's been a manager before, in Roy Keane, it makes you wonder if there could be, if they don't have a very good start, which obviously they did today by winning at Stoke, that he could be under some pressure to really deliver. And it's going to be interesting how that works with Roy Keane alongside him. Today it looked like it gave some steel and nerve to Villa, but I think Paul Lambert might be in a bit of trouble.
And finally, it is our Barber poll here on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk, brought to you by barberandco.ca. Who will win the Premier League title this season?
It's going to be Chelsea, because Jose Mourinho went out and pretty much in this transfer summer market got the players that he wanted to get in, like Diego Costa, and even bringing back Didier Drogba to play very much, I think, a supporting role this season. He's been able to shape his team the way he wants it to be, and I think they're going to be, through his ability to motivate and lead, as he has done so before, and with the kind of team that he has and wants in terms of the way he wants to play, they're going to go and win the CPL title.
I would agree with you. I think Chelsea's the team to beat. Mourinho just has, like you said, he's put the pieces in place that he wants, and they're going to be the ones to claim the title. And as much as they are, I think some of the other teams have not necessarily improved as much as they had hoped, and maybe even got a little bit weaker with the minusing some of those players.
Just to add on that, it's been interesting that there was many observations that they have actually completed their business, Chelsea, and teams like United and City and Arsenal are still searching for players before the end of this window. So it just maybe shows just a little bit how further ahead they are at the moment.
But coming up in the manager's rant at about 11:15, I will tell you why Manchester United fans should feel good about what's coming up this season. Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk, the Fantasy League contest presented by Umbro, our August quest for our MLS Fantasy League. Who's the hottest? Visit facebook.com/SoccerTalkVan for the details on that and how to join the league. Umbro, proud to be the official supplier of Canada's men's and women's national teams, celebrating 90 years of expertise in the game. If you want your club to play like the pros, dress them like the pros at Umbro.com. Umbro, the heart and soul of football. And it debuted this weekend, and there's still time to join. Simon hasn't even got on board yet. It's the Fantasy Premier League. Facebook.com/SoccerTalkVan has all the details on that as well. Well, the Whitecaps draw 0-0 against Chivas USA. We'll find out the rest of the Major League Soccer story in just a few minutes as well. We will talk to a Whitecaps player next.
This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on AM 650. Follow us on Twitter at Soccer Talk 650 and at Tyler Green FC.
Pain or injury slowing you down? Take it to the choice of many top athletes, Expert Physio. Serving the Lower Mainland for over 35 years, the team at Expert Physio is dedicated to individualized care with specialized services such as orthotics, acupuncture, IMS, plus dizziness, pelvic floor, and certified hand therapies. Over 300 physicians referred to Expert Physio last year, and 100% of patients surveyed said they choose Expert Physio again. You're in good hands with Expert Physio. Burnaby Heights or at 8 rinks, expertphysio.ca.
Whether playing soccer on this continent or football on every other, Umbro is the name worn by top players and teams worldwide. Those same uniforms are available for your team or club at umbro.com. Umbro, proud to be the official supplier of Canada's men's and women's national teams, is celebrating 90 years of expertise in the game. If you want your club to play like the pros, dress them like the pros at umbro.com. Umbro, the heart and soul of football.
The 2015s have arrived at Kia Vancouver, so come score a 2015 with ultra-low weekly payments, 0 down and 0% financing for 84 months, or a huge clear-out deal with up to $7,000 in cash rebates on select 2014 models with their no-bull pricing. But hurry, limited time offer at Kia Vancouver, Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon.
And remember, only Kia Vancouver gives you free lifetime car washes, oil changes, and free airport shuttle and parking with your new Kia purchase.
The Vancouver Street Soccer League isn't out to change the world. Just give the men and women in our homeless communities a chance to play soccer. Regardless of skill, everyone's included in practices and matches with teams from UBC, the Vancouver Police Department, the Vancouver Mayor's Office, and more. The focus is fun, but it builds skill and confidence, and that can change someone's world. Find out more at VancouverStreetSoccer.com.
Vancouver Street Soccer League. Get into it and get behind it. And let's change the world.
BC is better on a boat, and Boating BC is a community of boating professionals and enthusiasts who want to share it with you. Visit boatingbc.ca to meet members who can answer all your boating questions from buying to sailing. Before you get out on the water, get online to boatingbc.ca, the voice of recreational boating in BC and engine of the Vancouver International Boat Show. Join Boating BC on AM 650's Boomer Life this Tuesday at 6.
Other Tuesday Boomer Life sponsors include Abacan and Associates.
This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on AM 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
We'll talk Whitecaps in a minute with Andy O'Brien. The Caps scoreless against Chivas USA, a scoreless draw this evening. Simon's got the rest of the scores from MLS, presented by Steve Nash Sports Club, snclubs.com.
Last night saw the Houston Dynamo defeat Philadelphia Union by 2-0. 6 other games today in MLS. Real Salt Lake defeating Seattle Sounders by 2-1. Marco Devario scored the only goal in Montreal's 1-0 win over Chicago Fire. It was New England Revolution 1, Portland Timbers 1. Columbus Crew destroying the LA Galaxy by 4-1. Sporting Kansas City doing the same to Toronto C, 4-1, 2 goals for Don Dwyer there. And San Jose Earthquakes falling to a 5-0 defeat at home to FC Dallas. A Tesho Akindele hat trick there. And finally, one game tomorrow in MLS, DC United hosting the Colorado Rapids.
And joining us now is Whitecaps center back Andy O'Brien. Andy, thanks for taking the time out here this evening to join us.
No problem. No.
Obviously, you guys hope for the full 3 points, but you come away with the single point. Defensively, another solid effort. What has been working with you guys this season defensively? Because it seems like you've just piling on the clean sheets.
Yeah, well, I think we know how important the remaining games of the season, and from a defensive perspective, the first line of defence is the guys up front, and they've certainly put a shift in, as have the midfield players, and it makes our job at the back a lot easier. And David had quite a bit to do today in comparison to the last game that we played, but we're delighted with the clean sheet collectively.
Andy, it was one of those games in which you were in pretty good positions to score this evening, and yet it just didn't come off. Is there what's the sense amongst the players about how the game ended up in terms of some of the chances or some of the really good attacking positions you were in this evening, and that you weren't able to turn that into at least one goal?
Yeah, I think, sort of in recent weeks I've watched a bit of our games, obviously from the bench, and you certainly get a different perspective of the game, from watching it, and I'll no doubt watch it, but I think off the top of my head there wasn't a great deal of chances for either team. I think Badeshaw did well for us in the first half when I headed it and it landed at Torres' feet, and his header in the second half made him. I remember Scooter having a good chance when he cut inside. But like you say, there wasn't a great deal of chances in the game. And the one thing I'd say is that we haven't had the best results against Chivas, and I attribute that to their hard work in work ethic. And I wouldn't say they've bettered us in the past, but they've certainly matched us. And I think it was important that first and foremost we managed to do that. And unfortunately we didn't get a break in terms of the goal.
Is there a disappointment that you only took 2 points out of a possible 9 against Chivas this season?
Yeah, there definitely is. But it goes back to my first comment in terms of the work ethic and how industrial they are. They've got gifted players, and they demonstrated that when we played them earlier on in the season and went down to 10 men. So sometimes you have to credit the opposition with making it difficult. But certainly from our perspective, in terms of maybe a bit of creativity up front, we didn't have that much time.
Andy O'Brien joining us here on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk after a 0-0 draw with Chivas USA for the Vancouver Whitecaps earlier this evening. Andy, you now come home and face an LA Galaxy team next weekend back at the same stadium you were just in. I think fans kind of look at this and say, hey, you put up this great performance and really a dominating performance against Sporting Kansas City, and then against the worst team in the league, you get a scoreless draw. Do you guys feel that pressure at all, that maybe these performances are a little bit inconsistent, or is, I know the competition has something to do with that, but, what do you guys answer to that?
Yeah, I think, given the league system, how it is in North America, it's different to what I'm used to, in the sense that, a draw away from home sometimes isn't a bad result. It can make the difference between staying away from relegation or getting into the playoff or getting promoted. Whereas here, it's more about getting the wins, and there's an attitude that if you're winning a game or tying a game, it's an idea to throw on another striker to try and hit them on the counter as it is, to just see the game settle for a draw. So, there's more emphasis on the results in terms of getting wins, certainly at this stage of the season, given the fact that the games are coming thick and fast, and there's only a limited amount of points available now. So, but we continue to pick up points, and that is going to keep us in the race for the playoffs. And obviously, stating the obvious, we need to, the sooner we can pick up 3 points, the easier that journey is going to be to get into the playoffs.
Consistency has been something that certainly Tyler and I have talked about in terms of performances this season. And from your viewpoint, what is one of the big keys that you see in the remaining 11 games? Is it trying to find a level of consistency that is going to help you secure a playoff spot this season?
Yeah, well, I think you've got to put yourself in the manager's position sometimes as a player, and what I mean by that is do the right things, train to your maximum, because Carl's looking for a spark, and if we can all contribute to that, keep pushing, keep him pressing, and give him a difficult decision in terms of who to pick, because everybody's hungry, everybody's got that fire in the belly, and everybody's got that desire. I think that's going to be an important thing between now and the end of the season. I've been stressing to quite a few of the young lads, how you can take, if you're not in the team, or if you having to do the running after games and doing the travel and stuff like that, how can you make sure that when you do get an opportunity that you're ready for it? Because, throughout their career, they're going to be in and out of the team, and sulking or letting the work ethic drop isn't going to do them any favours, and isn't going to do the club any favours. So, from their perspective, it's important that they push to get in the team, and the guys that are in the team continue to push to stay in the team. I think if we can continue along that vein, I'm confident that we will get the right results in terms of what we need to get to the playoffs.
Andy, you touched on a couple things there, and there's lots of talk coming out that Omar Salgado comes off, doesn't shake the manager's hand, has a bit of a poor attitude being a substitute, not happy with that. You spend a lot of time with the youngsters. What type of advice would you give to Omar Salgado in that situation?
Yeah, well, I've actually seen the video, and I know it's the media's job to pass comment. I don't think it helps. In terms of Omar, he's a highly charged sort of personality. He gets frustrated. He's one of his biggest critics. But he's got to learn from the experience, and I think it's been blown out of proportion a little bit. But I keep on saying to Omar, he's got to keep on pushing day in, day out, and he hopefully will reap his rewards. He got his start today and deservedly so. And now he's got to dust himself off and we start again Monday for the game on Saturday.
Now, you are spending a lot of time with youngsters. I'm seeing all these pictures. It's you and Kakuta and Eric and all the young guys. Are you feeling a little old with these guys? Are they teaching you some new things? Are you getting good at playing video games? What's going on here?
No, well, I think, again, having not been in the team, I think the easiest thing to do is sort of sulk and take your foot off the gas and, contemplate your future, in terms of, are you going to be here next year? Then you're reading things about potentially am I going to retire, things like that. So, well, you've got to view it as, again, how you can better yourself, and I've found a little bit of happiness or peace in terms of just doing little bits of extra things with the guys after training, and it's only a little thing, but again as well, I think it's important if you can try and get to know your teammates on a personal level as well as professional level, and a lot of the guys live in the same sort of apartment block, so we get to see each other quite a bit during training and after training, but I've gotten as much out of it as hopefully they have.
Well, Andy, appreciate you joining us here after a game. Safe travels back here to Vancouver, and good luck again next weekend.
Okay, thanks very much. Nice to speak to you.
Thanks, Andy O'Brien, joining us here on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk for our Kia showroom interview. 396 Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, KiaVancouver.com. And, talking about the Salgado thing, saying, he's a highly charged guy, being blown out of proportion a little bit. I think Andy's trying to protect it a little bit, but, not what you want to see out of a player. I look at it two ways. One, you don't want to see that in a player because you want to see players, disrespect other people on their team, whether it's a coach, whether it's other players on the bench, what have you. But at the same time, I like the idea that Omar is pissed that he got taken off. I want a guy that has that fire, that wants to be in the game, wants to score that game-winning goal or that tying goal or what have you. And he is pissed off that he's getting subbed out. I'm perfectly content to have a guy like that, not a guy that's just happy to be subbed off in a game. And let somebody else try to do it and figure it out. I'm happy that he showed a little fire.
Yes, but at the same time, it's one thing to be feeling that way and feeling frustrated, and even maybe saying it on the record to media afterwards. But putting yourself in a position where you end up doing something that gets immediately noticed, where you don't shake your head coach's hand or your coach's hand when you get subbed off. That doesn't go over very well. It is about actions, and people can see actions. They can't necessarily see how you feel. And so certainly the thing I think he has to learn is, for as much as he's been frustrated and had a difficult time trying to get himself established in his team, and that's been well documented, it won't help him if he does actions big or small that are visible and everybody can pick up on. and then that raises further questions about what his future is with this club.
Matt Lemon, tweeting, really? On my comment, I think he's an entitled little puke who hasn't earned a damn thing. Yeah, you're right. He hasn't really earned a lot. But, at the same time, I like to see a guy that has a little fire in him and doesn't want to get subbed off, wants to be the difference maker on a team. And that is something I think we saw a little bit there from Omar Salgado.
Needs to be better, and he needs to understand that he needs to be better. I mean, I thought tonight he didn't use his size as well as I think he could have, and I think tonight going into the next few games, when he gets that opportunity, he's got to put himself about a little bit more. It's a physical league, and he can play with the physical stature of it. He's just got to use it more.
Some stats from the game. First off, Matthias Laba was the man of the match, and we talked last week how we thought that either him or Gershon Kofi should have gotten the man of the match honors. It ended up being Pedro Morales, but another solid performance from Matthias Laba this week. He gets named the man of the match, and no complaints this week, Simon.
No, absolutely not. But, of course, now the big debate is, well, he's not available next week because of the yellow card that he took. I mean, in his position, it's very difficult to not accumulate a yellow cards for what you're being asked to do. But, yeah, it was another very, very solid performance. And when you think actually about the future of this team going forward, he really does become one of those players where he's going to be a really important piece for what they do.
Some stats that mean absolutely nothing, but I'll tell you what they are. 13 shots for the Vancouver Whitecaps, 3 on target, 6 off target, 4 block. They had 408 total passes with an accuracy of 82%. They had 8 corner kicks and held the majority of possession in this game, 57.8%. And I tell you why it means absolutely nothing, because the scoreline was 0-0. And that is why they mean nothing.
Other than just reflecting how the game unfolded. But you're right. Yes, that's very true.
All right, we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back with Around the Globe and find out some of the latest news and rumors that are happening from around the globe. We'll also continue to talk about this Vancouver Whitecaps team. Free lifetime car washes, oil changes, and get this, free lifetime airport shuttle and parking service. Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, KiaVancouver.com. Give us your thoughts at Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk. Tyler Green FC on Twitter. Simon Fudge 74. What do you think about what Omar Salgado has done? Not shaking the manager's hand, being mad. Let us know what you think about what Omar Salgado did. And what would you do to him? Nobody else is scoring on this team. Do you sit him? Do you bench him? Do you just give him a little slap on the wrist and say never have it happen again? Do you ship him out of town? Let us know what you think. We'll get to some of your comments in just a minute, as well as Around the Globe next.
Follow us on Twitter at SoccerTalk650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on AM 650.
Pain or injury slowing you down? Take it to the choice of many top athletes, Expert Physio. Serving the Lower Mainland for over 35 years, the team at Expert Physio is dedicated to individualized care with specialized services such as orthotics, acupuncture, IMS, plus dizziness, pelvic floor, and certified hand therapies. Over 300 physicians referred to Expert Physio last year, and 100% of patients surveyed said they'd choose Expert Physio again. You're in good hands with Expert Physio. Burnaby Heights or at 8 Rinks, expertphysio.ca.
The 2015s have arrived at Kia Vancouver, so come score a 2015 with ultra-low weekly payments, 0 down and 0% financing for 84 months, or a huge clear-out deal with up to $7,000 in cash rebates on select 2014 models with their no-bull pricing. But hurry, limited time offer at Kia Vancouver, Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon.
And remember, only Kia Vancouver gives you free lifetime car washes, oil changes, and free airport shuttle and parking with your new Kia purchase.
The Straight Razor Shave, a leading man classic. Steady hand coaxing the rugged face back to smoothness. This nearly lost art has found revival at Barber & Co. Hot towels, straight edge blade, and your face. It's an experience that reminds you you're alive. You're a man in the company of history's finest men. Start at barberandco.ca. Pick your barber shop in Yaletown, Gastown, the Financial District, or Cambie and 18th, and relax into the big leather chair for the shave of your life.
Hi, it's Tom Lucas from Radio Real Estate. Do you have a product or service and need to increase your business? Radio Real Estate can help. We have the most affordable way for you to reach potential customers in Western Canada. Interested in increasing your business? Let's talk. Call me direct, 604-339-1841, 604-339-1841, and join us on Radio Real Estate.
Talk about hot. I talked to Jack McIver a few days ago, and he said he's had the same Danby portable air conditioner in his bedroom since 1999. Year after year, it's kept him and Leslie quietly cool. Jack sold over 500 of these well-made units to customers who use them when it's hot. And $399 and $349 will keep you cool. High-performance, long-lasting Danby air conditioners. McIver's, 610 Southeast Marine Drive, 879-5222. Online at mcivers.biz.
Back. This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on AM 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Grade.
Are anti-inflammatory drugs good or bad for the rec soccer player? Should you use them or not? We'll talk to expert physios David Sandals about that at 11 o'clock this evening, so in about 10 minutes' time. And are you prepared to start the season? Are you in shape? The right kind of shape, not necessarily round. We'll talk to Michelle Roots of Core Condition. She's going to be by to give you some tips, what you need to get ready to start your rec league season for the fall. We'll do that at 11:30 this evening. But it's time for Around the Globe in just a couple minutes. But first, Simon's got all the scores from England.
The opening day of the English Premier League season, and Manchester United were in the early match, losing 2-1 at home to Swansea City. It was newly promoted Leicester City 2, Everton 2, QPR 0, Hull City 1, Stoke City 0, Aston Villa 1, West Bromwich Albion and Sunderland drew 2-2. West Ham United fell to a late goal from Eric Dyer against Tottenham Hotspur 1-0, and Arsenal left it late to beat Crystal Palace by 2-1. 2 games tomorrow in the EPL. Liverpool hosts Southampton and Newcastle United host Manchester City, and then on Monday, newly promoted Burnley hosts Chelsea.
Well, time now for Around the Globe, the latest news, notes, and rumors from around the football world. And a lot of English stuff in here. Real Madrid manager Carlo Ancelotti has told Manchester United and Arsenal that Argentina winger Angel Di Maria and Germany midfielder Sami Khedira are not for sale. Meanwhile, with Manchester City opening, as Simon said, Joe Hart looks like he's going to win the battle to start the game tomorrow against Newcastle instead of newly signed Willie Caballero, who played in the Community Shield match last Sunday. Queen's Park Rangers debutant Rio Ferdinand took to Twitter following QPR's loss, a 1-0 defeat at home to Hull City, and he admitted that he was culpable for the decisive goal. And Tottenham are preparing to make a move for Italian international striker Mattia Destro. No word on whether Cobra, led by Cobra Commander, is willing to part with his evil weapons manufacturer.
By the way, I think you're thinking of a G.I. Joe character. This Destro plays for Roma, by the way.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you better just give us some scores then.
Okay, well, the Under-20 Women's World Cup, the quarterfinals today, and North Korea defeated the The defending champions of the United States on penalties, 3-1 in Toronto after a 1-1 extra time draw. And unfortunately, Canada's campaign as host has come to an end. Germany beating them by 2-0 tonight at the Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. In the NASL, very good win for FC Edmonton, their second win of the fall season, away to Carolina Railhawks, 3-2. They won there. And tomorrow, the Ottawa Fury will host the in-form San Antonio Scorpions at TD Place. In USL Pro, Charleston Battery are going very well right now. Played 2 games this week. They're 7 games unbeaten in league play. On Wednesday night, they defeated the Orange County Blues by 3-2. And then last night, they beat Bob Lilly's Rochester Winos 2-1.
Want free car washes, free oil changes? Details at KiaVancouver.com or in-store at 396 Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon. Plus, if you tell them that I sent you, you save $500 on the purchase of a new vehicle. Well, Omar Salgado, a couple of items from today. One, the Whitecaps, a 0-0 draw against Chivas USA. That's 2 out of a possible 9 points. 2 out of a possible 9 points against one of the worst teams in Major League Soccer. Not good enough. Omar Salgado comes off, doesn't shake the hand of his manager. Aaron Campbell pointing out, to be fair, Robbo didn't exactly offer a handshake either. Chris Freeman saying, I'm worried more about him blowing off his mates. Being pissed at coach getting subbed is pretty common. Will Cromack, who of course we had on the program the other day, a couple weeks ago, saying, who cares? Happens 20 times a weekend in Europe. Bet Carl did it himself at times. Kurt Larson from the Toronto Sun weighing in. It's not like wanting to hug and kiss your wife after a long day at work. Simon goes home and tries to kiss his cat. No, he doesn't.
If I had one, yeah. Well, yeah.
But again, Simon, it's one of those games that, you know, it's getting away from the Vancouver Whitecaps, and maybe this whole Omar thing is also a little bit distracting of the fact that the Whitecaps, one, can't get it done against Chivas USA, and two, are just dropping points here and there. Ties are great. It's great to get points out of every single game that you can. But when there are winnable games out there, and you look at the way that they performed against Sporting KC last weekend and the way they performed this weekend, that's troubling and that's disturbing.
That game was there for the taking tonight. And what was most disturbing in particular was just how impotent they were in front of goal. There just seemed to be no sense of urgency when the chances were really there to be taken, and they just didn't take them. Either they took the wrong decision to either not have a shot on goal or try and play a ball through. Whatever the case may be, they just couldn't get the combinations right. I was again disappointed with Eric Hurtado tonight off the bench. He was in offside positions far too often when he was trying to get in behind the Chivas back line, and I was actually quite fearful they were going to lose the game the way it was going, because it was kind of casual and they were almost looking for the perfect opportunity to open up and finish. Kakuta probably did the one thing that should have been done, was cut inside, have a great chance later on in the game, but we didn't see enough of that tonight, and I wonder if we're going to be looking back on this game tonight as being one that really got away from them, proved decisive in if they make the playoffs or not.
Stats are pretty funny when you look at wins and losses and draws. You could look at Whitecaps and say, well, they're undefeated in 6, or, well, they just have 1 win in 7 games. What are these Whitecaps really all about? Sean Mitchell saying, who knows? All I know is that I'm kind of sick of kissing my sister. Well, if I had one. You know, it's kind of that half glass full, half empty kind of thing. Walter weighing in, I'd rather take that glass, fill it with beer, and forget this match. Mark Daly, 2 points out of 9 against Chivas on the year. Not good enough. No way we should be touting ourselves as a playoff team. So a lot of different things that people are weighing in here on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk.
Yeah, and I keep going back to the start of the season and what you and I both said. We felt they were going to finish somewhere around the playoff line, which is about 5th place. And I think, for me, it's probably where they're going to probably finish up, probably 5th, probably 6th, or either just in or just out. So we'll get our preseason predictions right, but it's the desire and the hope that it would be far better than that. And I think certainly the first game of the season, the big win over New York, raised expectations in a huge way of what the potential was with this team. And I think that's really what's going through people's minds. They probably know exactly where they are, that where they actually are on the table is accurate, but it's what they desire and what they want more of. And they know that they feel that that team can do it, is sort of the two kind of clashing mindsets that's going on. I feel myself in some ways, and I'm sure you would agree with me, that that's kind of the thing, that we know that this team is capable of far, far better. But right now, that result tonight was a far more accurate reflection of what they have been in 2014.
The Whitecaps now in that very difficult spot, but they need to pick up some big points over their next couple of games, and they've got one against the LA Galaxy down at the StubHub Center down in Los Angeles. They need to go and they need to claim those 3 points down there. And then they've got a huge one on August 30th, a team that's chasing them right behind them. And that's at home against Portland. And that is one that they cannot take anything but 3 points from. The Whitecaps need 3 points in that match. All right, we're going to switch gears ever so slightly because we want to get you ready for your soccer season. A lot of rec players out there, a lot of guys playing in a game from earlier tonight in the Donnelly Cup, where the Arsenal supporters crew claimed victory of the Donnelly Cup. It's a first of what they hope to be an annual event there at the Donnelly Group. But I'm sure there's a few guys that are a little bit sore after that game and have probably used some beer to help heal that pain. But should you be taking anti-inflammatories or should you avoid them? And that's things like Advil, the over-the-counter drugs. Well, we're going to talk with expert physio David Sandals about that topic when he joins us next.
This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on AM 650. Follow us on Twitter at Soccer Talk 650 and at Tyler Green FC.